This event provides an opportunity to honor one of the great dairy industry leaders of our time and to confirm his installation as the 69th Guest of Honor of Dairy Shrine. The 2011 National Dairy Shrine Guest of Honor, Stephen A. Larson, was born and raised on a farm in Salina, Kansas. After high school, he went on to Kansas State University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1968. During his time in Manhattan, Charlie Norton became one of Steve's favorite mentors, advisors, and longtime friends. Upon college graduation at Kansas State, with a thirst for more education, he enrolled at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he completed his Master's of Science degree in 1970. While living in Madison, Larson found that he enjoyed the Wisconsin climate and lifestyle and embarked on a career with Hoard's Dairyman magazine in Fort Atkinson, where he is their managing editor today. While there, he had the opportunity to work with Jim Baird, Bill Knox, and Gene Meyer, who Steve says had great impact on him personally, the magazine, and the industry. Always a keen observer, Larson took advantage of every opportunity to learn from more seasoned colleagues. Reportedly, shortly after this picture was taken, Steve made the decision to give up the pipe. This 1973 photo shows Steve along with two of his cohorts on the Hoard's editorial team, Ewing Rowe and Bernie Heisner. As managing editor of Hoard's Dairyman, the Dairyman's Bible, Steve has helped establish dairy policy at the highest level. He has championed important dairy industry causes through his written editorials on national and international dairy policy, milk marketing, dairy product promotion, feeding and nutrition, mastitis and herd health, and dairy cattle breeding. A gifted writer, Larson's editorials are characterized by fairness, objectivity, integrity, and their forward-looking approach. As Dr. George Shook states, quote, "Before taking a position, Steve consults with knowledgeable people on both sides of an issue. His positions are well-reasoned and designed to promote the well-being of the entire industry. This is no small task in an industry deeply divided by regional competition and philosophical differences. Larson's editorials provide a window into his values of fairness and integrity," end quote. Steve is a well-respected leader. Those who have been fortunate to work with him at the magazine, the farm, on committees, or on boards of directors know Steve as a deep thinker with sound judgment who always operates in a fair and understated manner. This is the editorial team at Hoard's Dairyman today. Steve is quick to credit some of his success to current and past co-workers, and this photo shows some of the Hoard's Dairyman team. Our honored guest laid the groundwork for the popular Hoard's Dairyman Spanish edition. An accomplished and entertaining speaker, Steve has been asked to make presentations in 29 states, 3 Canadian provinces, and Mexico. He's comfortable speaking on areas as diverse as nutrition, housing, animal breeding, product research and promotion, and national dairy policy. I know of no other person today who is better versed on more sectors of the dairy industry than Steve. Steve regularly works with the Hoard's Dairyman farm employees on management issues. This responsibility has kept him well tuned on the grassroots problems associated with managing a dairy farm. For many years, the Hoard's herd has been one of the nation's highest producing registered Guernsey herds. Steve served as a National Dairy Shrine board member from 1990 to 1996. It is always special when our guest of honor has actually been a leader of our organization. Steve's passion for Dairy Shrine runs deep. He was our National Dairy Shrine president in 1995, and today is a leader on the Visitor Center Committee, a role which he has been active in since 1998. Steve Larson's peers have sought his counsel as evidenced by his activities, a few of which I will refer to here. U.S. Dairy Forage Research Center Stakeholders Task Force, the National Dairy Leaders Conference Planning Committee, Western Dairy Management Conference Planning Committee, American Dairy Science Association Centennial Planning Committee, Chicago Dairy Nutrition Advisory Committee, Western Center for Dairy Profitability Advisory Committee, UW Biological Engineering Systems Department Advisory Committee, co-chair of the Holstein Association USA Breed of the Future Committee, and the International Dairy Housing Conference Organizing Committee. Steve has also been a leader in his community and state, as evidenced by his involvement as the Wisconsin Public Radio Association President, Fort Atkinson Historical Society Board of Directors, Fort Atkinson Area United Way Board President, Trinity Lutheran Church Council President, Fort Atkinson AFS Chapter President, Fort Fest Inc. President, and the Wisconsin Educational Communications Board. Steve and his lovely wife Leota live in Whitewater and together have 5 children. Put aside the documented achievement and deeds, Steve Larson is a great person who will carry this distinction with honor. Congratulations, Steve.
Very much. It's all a bit overwhelming. Well, thank you all very much for your kind reception, and John for your gracious words and your generous comments. I also would like to extend my thanks to George Shook and Maury Core, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening, for their, and any others who had a role in my nomination. And of course I want to thank National Dairy Shrine, which has always meant a great deal to me. Right up in front, I want to introduce a few members of my family that are here. If you would just stand, please. This is, in the dark coat, my sister Ann and her husband Ron Olson from Texas, my sister Martha in the red from Maryland, and the daughter-in-law Kim Taylor from Whitewater, and of course Leota, and I'll say a few more words about her later. Thank you. And the other group that I'd love to have stand is, I think there's a few people here from Hoard's Dairyman from the Hoard Company tonight. Would you please stand? I'm going to say a few more words about them also. Of course, I'm always a little suspicious that Dairy Shrine intentionally recognizes a few locals just to help ticket sales. In fact, there are so many people here from Hoard's tonight at the banquet that we had to sell about half the herd over at the Guernsey Classic sale tonight to cover the cost of the tickets. You know, an occasion like this really fills a person with a lot of gratitude. My thanks begin way back in Kansas, where my parents were great positive influences and who, if they were here, would tell me to not get too big for my britches. There were many 4-H leaders and others who worked with youth that helped me in various ways. And I especially think of former Kansas Governor John Carlin. Some of you will associate him with Ivanhoe Bell, who with his father, neighborhood Holstein breeders, helped a green kid from a small diversified farm acquire his first registered Holstein heifer and sparked a lasting interest in dairy cattle and the dairy industry. And my message here is that those of you who work with youth deserve a big thanks and the assurance that you very likely are influencing the lives of youngsters in ways that you can't imagine. I often proudly say that I was a product of the system. Through 4-H came exposure to judging, and through judging came exposure to cooperative extension, and ultimately exposure to Kansas State University. That recruiting system, if you will, which is in some danger, has opened the doors to education, enriching experiences, personal growth, and rewarding career opportunities for countless people in the dairy industry and throughout agriculture. In their own way, there were a number of faculty and staff at Kansas State, the irascible Charlie Norton, probably chief among them, who encouraged and fostered my education and inspired in me an interest in finding some role in the dairy industry. Likewise, I owe much to the University of Wisconsin-Madison especially my advisor, Bud Schultz, were the education and associations I benefited from as a graduate student, and over the years since then, have been a great asset and influence on me. After getting my master's degree from the University of Wisconsin, I found myself back at Kansas State, embarking on a PhD program in animal nutrition. I was most likely on a course to become an extension dairy specialist of some kind or another. I should say that I never dreamed that I would ever end up as a writer and an editor. And neither did my English and composition instructor. But even though I was just starting on my graduate program at Kansas State, Charlie Norton encouraged me to investigate an opening on the editorial staff at Hoard's Dairyman. That is how I became an editor at Hoard's. And of course, I've always suspected that Charlie sensed I wasn't an exemplary PhD candidate. My message here for you younger folks is that you need to keep your options open. Many, in fact, most of the people in the dairy industry, including many in this room tonight, never would have envisioned the satisfying career paths that they've taken. How fortunate I was to come to Hoard's Dairyman and work with wonderful mentors. Bill Hoard, Bill Knox, Gene Meyer, Jim Barrett. And a great deal of gratitude goes to those men and other past employees, Hoard employees, for their guidance, support, and patience. I like to refer to each issue of Hoard's Dairyman and all of our other related activities as ensemble performances. They require a team of people with a unique blend of talents and interests and abilities. You saw many of them stand up earlier tonight. I especially want to thank those who served in the magazine's editorial department in the past as editors and interns, and those serving now, which includes Corey Geiger, Dennis Halliday in West Coast, Lucas Shostrom and Amanda Smith, who just joined our department during the past year, and our art director, Ryan Ebert. And I want to mention my longtime assistant, Donna Smith, who always made me look much more organized than I am, and of course, Marlene Brunner, a longtime editorial assistant at the staff. I am grateful for the experiences I've had at the Hoard's Dairyman Farm and the opportunity to work with Jason Yers and a dedicated crew of employees out there. Truly, many have contributed to whatever success Hoard's Dairyman has enjoyed. And I would be remiss if I did not also thank the subscribers and the advertisers in the magazine who put their trust and loyalty and support behind the magazine. It has been a privilege to serve dairy farm families throughout North America and a good many around the world. One could not imagine a harder working, more dedicated clientele. Finally, I want to express again gratitude to my family members for their support and patience through the years, especially Leota. She's very special to me. And this is a very special recognition. I suspect that other recipients hardly felt that they were in the same league as many of the illustrious past recipients. That certainly is my case. To be Dairy Shrine Guest of Honor, indeed, is a great honor and one that I will cherish. All that remains for me is just to repeat my gratitude and my appreciation for this recognition and all the good fortune and good support I've had along the way.